Socks. Oh, happy Saturday, Socky. Do you want some dreamies? Do you think people will get fed up of watching you having dreamies? Look, I'm going to put them on the arm of the chair. Oh, there you are, there you are. And there. It's the 1st of November, so white rabbits. Oh, but they're not rabbit flavour, they're chicken flavour. Look, they're on the arm of the chair. Look. I've got to choose a new book bag. So can you entertain everyone while I grab a bag from the corner? Oh, people can just about... Oh no, they went down the arm of the chair. There's some more here, look. There. Look. You have to put more effort in, Socks. Right, book bag. I'm going to reach down to the bottom of the pile and get a rainbow bag. Look. Here we are. Oh, they look like quite big books. This is a November stash. A mystery book bag. I'm not convinced I'm going to do this month. There are many versions of what I want to do in November. Oh, I'll come and have a look at the camera. Hello. Here he is. Here's Socks. God, you were clumsy then. Look, here's one more. Look. Because I enjoyed my spooky reading in... God, you're so slavery. My spooky reading in October so much, and I read so much, but still there was masses on my pile of spooky books, and alongside my spooky shelf there's my Christmas shelf, which am I ready to go on to? I don't know, but there's so much, and in some ways reading about Christmas the month before is even more delicious. And the other thing I've thought about doing is reading some more tie-ins, because I love that word, tie-ins. TV tie-ins and series books, because at the very end of my October, I got carried away reading novels from the late 90s, early 2000s, based on Buffy and Charmed. Things that I hadn't really explored before. I knew they were there. And these are specifically, come on, the teen titles. And I don't know what set me off on this week or last week, but realising that there were these numbered series for those books. I've also got a collection of X-Files books, just the same, that my friend Rosie sent me in a parcel that went missing in the post for a while and then mysteriously turned up again. So at one level, I want to go and read books from series and read more Charmed and read Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Brian Jakes and Robert Hallstock and kind of fantasy novels like Anne McCaffrey and Charles DeLint. Because I think, as I said in my last video, some of these series I've been reading since the late 80s, believe it or not, and I just haven't finished them. I've got the next one waiting. So in some ways, some time spent devoting myself to picking up on old friends in series is a nice thing to do. It's not rereading, and it's not quite rereading new stuff. It's going back to worlds. So that's one idea. Another idea, more spooky, early Christmas tie-ins. And of course, there's book bag, because it's the 1st of the month. And last month I forewent, I love that verb, to forego something. I forewent opening a book bag because it was October and I knew I wanted all spooky. But I think I'll open this one anyway from this mystery advent, because the pile of books is still quite large in the corner of the room, a pile of bags. And I'll look at this one. You can see it's chock-a-block with the usual 6 mystery books, all of them brand new by the looks of it. Let's see what we've got and if they're things we want to pick up right now. Oh, Julie May Cohen. Julie Cohen, who's a friend, and this is her first serial killer novel. It's now become a series, I think. This is Bad Men, and it was published 2 or 3 years ago, and I bought it new, and it went on the pile. And this is the whole point of my mystery book bags. Suddenly it gets to go at the top of the list. She's a wonderful writer. She's written in all kinds of genres over the years, and I've followed her across all of them. The ones I love the most, actually, are the ones that she wrote for a series called Little Black Dress that Headline did. And she wrote the most alarming, they were meant to be kind of straightforward romance novels, but there was all sorts of spikiness to them. But I've loved everything that she's written that I've read. So, Bad Men is there. Oh, a queer novel, Rainbow Milk, Paul Mendez. I don't know much about this. I think I picked it up secondhand somewhere. It's a kind of, I think it was a prize winner. There's a quote from Bernardine Evaristo, who I knew as our writing fellow in about 2000, 2001 at UEA. We interviewed and she was the standout, and she came to live on campus for a while. And me and John Cook, the dean of the school, were very into what she was doing. These kind of verse novels and her erudition, and just, she was a good person to have on campus. I've fallen out of touch now since her immense stardom. I did get an email a few years ago saying I was the only person who was nice to her on campus, which I can kind of well believe, really. She says about this, Rainbow Milk, I trust her judgment, I think. Although, do I? Not always, actually. Anyway, we'll see. When did you last read a novel about a young, black, gay Jehovah's Witness from Wolverhampton who flees his community to make his way in London as a prostitute? It sounds like every gay man's press novel of the 90s and the 80s. Graphic erotica alert. Don't read this book if you like your fiction cozy and middle of the road. I do like my fiction cozy and middle of the road, but I like graphic erotica as well, Bernadine. It's not either or at all. It's both. Anyway, Bernadine's all right, but the novel that she got all the fuss for, Girl, Woman, Other, I didn't think much of, to be honest. I thought that was quite, compared with other stuff I'd read by her, I think it was quite straightforward. Anyway, oh, Lisa Jill. That's good. It's her Jessica Jones Marvel novel that came out last year. She did a tie-in herself, and I've loved the thrillers I've read by her. I think I've liked them all. We did one for book club and everybody loved it. That was the one I liked least of all the ones I've read. But there's something about her writing that I find smooth and easy, I suppose. Which sounds like I'm putting it down, but I'm not at all. I think it's the ultimate, isn't it? Writing readable prose that this reader feels as if he's not even reading. He's just melting into the story and hearing the voices. To me, that's the ultimate. And I think when she's really good, she makes you feel like that you are in the story rather than reading it from one remove. Interestingly, that's the opposite of what creative writing courses used to teach. That was all about prose drawing attention to itself, the writerliness of writing. A very 60s idea from Roland Barthes and people like that, the textured surface of writing that draws attention to itself, like post-impressionism in painting. And courses never taught the opposite, commercial writing, where the writing does everything but draw attention to itself. It draws attention just to the characters and the story. And I think they should be teaching both, really. Anyway, often prize-winning books are the ones that are literary in that sense. Oh, and Uncle Mame, The Life of Patrick Dennis. One of those things that I go looking for and then salt away and never get round to for years and years. This is the man who wrote Mame, that became the musical, that became the film. A gay writer in New York. Maybe it's time for another biography about a an interesting influential figure in the kind of gay demi-monde of whenever it was, the 50s, I suppose. A bit like reading that wonderful book about Edward Gorey, Posthumous something, a huge biography that was all about New York 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and him as a fan of the ballet and a cartoonist. Wonderful. And I think Patrick Dennis probably lived in the same kind of world. Right, 2 more. Don't know what this is. Oh, I do now. That's really interesting. Now, this was a book in the works, and it's a retelling of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It's The Mice of the Round Table, A Tale of Camelot with mice. Because I love animal books. I love Brian Jakes, as you know, and Watership Down and Farthing Wood. So I must have picked this up at some point. The receipt's still in it. Last year. Let's see. I bought a whole pile of things on that day. And it was the time that I got the Disney Robin Hood, told from the point of view of Maid Marian, which I loved, by Mary McCusey. Fantastic read. Anyway, this was back in... I can't find the date. What's the point of a receipt that doesn't tell you when you bought it? Oh. 3rd of November last year. Almost a year. So this has been waiting. So it means I must have made my book bags up sometime in November. That sounds about right. Anyway, the big revelation of opening this, taking this out of the bag now, is that it's by Julie Leung. A name I wouldn't have recognised last year, but this year I recognise it. And she did 3 volumes. A Tale of Camelot, Voyage to Avalon, Merlin's Last Quest. This year I recognise Julie Leung as the author of The Teller of Small Fortunes, the book that I read a couple of months ago, that is one of my top books of the year, the gentle fantasy story that I read on Kindle, and then I went and bought a nice hardback of because I liked it so much. So that's fantastic. I didn't know she had earlier books. And last one, a Philip K. Dick, A Scanner Darkly, a Philip K. Dick novel. Whoa, with tiny print. That is ludicrous. A Scanner Darkly, it's a font minuscule, I'd call it. Worst kind of obscurity. I don't know. It's a long time since I've read Philip K. Dick. What I love about him aren't the things that other people love. Blade Runner and all of that stuff. The kind of mixy-mindy, crazy, cyber, is it real, is it not, Keanu Reeves stuff. All of that I don't care about. What I love are 2 short stories in particular, and I could do without the rest. It's the one about the dog who thinks the aliens come every week to the garden and he's got to fight them off as they take away the bins, and it's the bin men. And the other one is the one about the wub. Beyond Lies the Wub, about the little creature on the spaceship, who I think... I've read it again and again. Does he get eaten? Yes, he gets eaten. It's about cooking this creature. It's like a kind of depraved Star Trek, where they eat their enemies. Substance D, otherwise known as death, is the most dangerous drug ever to find its way onto the black market. It destroys the links between the brain's 2 hemispheres, leading first to disorientation and then to complete and irreversible brain damage. Bob Arctor, undercover narcotics agent, is trying to find a lead to the source of supply. But to pass as an addict, he must first become a user. See, I kind of have no interest when I read that. Other people might think, oh, Underworld and drugs and double dealings, and the whole drugs world is a metaphor for something else. And I just think blah, 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 blah. Anyway, maybe I'll give him a chance. Maybe instead of that, I'll go and read some of his stories. I bought, I think, all the volumes of his collected stories for dipping into. Maybe I should read more of his early ones, because I really did like them. So I'm left with kind of a nice pile. Not bothered about Philip K. Dick. Really intrigued by the Mice of the Round Table. And of course, it's a year since I read Lev Grossman's take on King Arthur in The Bright Sword. It was November because or was it December? It was the end of the year. And I just adored that. I think I read that instead of Christmas books. Auntie Mame, or Uncle Mame, a biography. Lisa Jewell and Daredevil and superheroes, or at least kind of detective-y superheroes. This erotic fella from Wolverhampton and Julie Cohen and Killers. So we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I fancy reading. And I've got this afternoon to read, and I've got this afternoon is quiet and I can just read. Tomorrow is our Fambles meeting and there's no reading. I can't read tomorrow, maybe in the morning. I do plan my days around what hours can I scrape back from the world to read in. I think that's a perfectly normal way to behave. And I think if reading feels like you're rescuing time from the cares of the world or your obligations or chores or your need to make a living or see people or whatever, I think if you can feel you're smuggling time back to indulge in reading, it gives it that extra cachet. It gives it a glamour in the old-fashioned sense. It feels magical. Yeah, I never understand people when they talk about feeling as if reading is a chore in itself. It never is for me. It's always bliss, unless I'm not enjoying what I'm reading, and then I've got the wrestle and the tussle of when and how do I give up on this particular book and then fall into the bliss of something brand new. But that's what I'm going to give myself this afternoon, the bliss of something brand new. And White Rabbits and Happy New Month. November, in many ways, is my favourite month of the year because it's my birthday month. That sounds really selfish, but it always has been. I love autumn. I love the melting of the spooky season into the festive season, and that Christmassy music arriving, and those films coming on, and just looking forward to nice things. And I think for all of us, that's a really important thing to be doing. Look forward to nice things and use all the things we do and all the things we care about to try and make the world a nicer place and a more livable place for everyone, spreading the word about things that are worth doing, things that aren't destructive or undermining or wicked or, full of hate. There's a lot of hate about, and I think reading and books are essential to counteracting hate. I've always thought that. Anyway, before I get too pompous, Socks is asleep, and I will see you all again quite soon. Goodbye.